JJ here. Welcome back. Well, here we are for Tesla earnings Q2 2025. This is an unscheduled live here. I'm using new software, so I'm going to fix the plane as it's flying. I'm just reading what's going on here. Click here when live for stream info, view accounts, and more. Okay. Let's see. I've got the chat window up too, so feel free to chat. I haven't got it available actually. Anyway, we're going to see here, we're waiting for Tesla to arrive. And we're going to see what Elon's got to say this time. I'll just turn that down so we can't hear it. I'll get a copyright strike if I have that music. So let's see what Tesla's got to say. I'm going to go through the earnings after the earnings call. And I'm just going to check while I'm here, while I'm blaring, if it's actually live on my channel. Is it actually live? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it. Let's see if I can pop up the chat window as well. We are apparently streaming. There's a chat window. Yes. Hello. I see people. Look out below. Hi, Tesla. I'm going to put a comment in just to check that. Hi, everybody. Hi, everyone. JJ here. Because that's seems to be my catchphrase. All right, let's go on this thing. So I'll go through the summary afterwards because we're about to start, I think, on the live call. It starts in just about 3 minutes, apparently, if Elon's not late, which he constantly is. Well, not so much for earnings calls because he's got other people doing it for him. But we'll see what happens. Hi, everybody. When does Elaine show up? When does Ellen show up for the spin story? Exactly. There'll be some spin on it. I've gone through the numbers just by myself, just quickly, which, I decided to do this live just about half an hour before. So that's why I say bear with me if we fix the plane while we're flying, because I haven't used the software before, but it seems to be working. People can see it right. Let me know if there are any problems. Are there any sound problems? Are there any visual problems? Got a good connection here, a good fast internet connection. So should be fine. Fascist bag holders, greetings from Colorado, Rocky Mountains. Hi, Peter. Great. That's mountain time. Yes. I've been there. Great place, Colorado. I've been skiing there more than once, actually, and spent quite a bit of time in Colorado. It's really a great place to be, isn't it? Well, in the summer, no snow there. It's winter here. It was actually nearly frost here this morning, which is unusual for where I am. Hello, everyone. This will be interesting. Yes, it will. Let's do a check. I don't think it started. No, we still got that music. I did this once, and I got a copyright strike for that music that Tesla uses, which is crazy that they have that. Got my tasty beverage here ready to go. So. Yes, as I said, I've been through the numbers and some of it's not looking good. And I was seeing like some of the Tesla pumpers talking about it, and they're like saying they beat on this, they beat on that, but that's just beating from expectations. And the expectations were pretty low. So this just means nothing to say that you've got a beat here. I'm just keep an eye on this. Well, I'll check it. What it is actually 9:30 my time. Probably get a copyright strike for this. Never mind. All right. So yeah, the numbers. Let's just have a quick look here before Elon starts spinning it to say how fantastic it is. Total automotive revenues down 16%. So this is year on year. We go back to Q2 2024, down 16%. Energy generation and storage, that's the growth area, right? Down 7% on a year. From quarter to quarter, we can see small improvements, but really it's the year that makes a lot of sense to look at the numbers. Total revenues down 12%, and total gross profit down 15%. and we'll have a look at what that is. Operating expenses up, well, down on the year, but up on the quarter. Income from operations down 42% from a year ago. Ouch. Operating margin just 4.1, which is up on 2.1 from the quarter before, but that's so low. Now, I looked at Apple operating margins, which does have hardware and software as well. Okay, here we go. We'll go back to those numbers. We'll go back to those numbers afterwards. If you hang around here, we'll get warmed up. We'll hear Elon talk or stutter through this, and then we will go back to some of those numbers and see. But let's hear what the spin is.
Robo taxi, so providing our first drives with no one in the driver's seat, with paying customers in Austin. And as some may have noted, we've already expanded our service area in Austin. It's
I'll be in the chat, by the way.
And it's going to get even bigger and longer. We were expecting to really greatly increase the Austin service area to well in excess of what competitors are doing. And that's hopefully in a week or so, 2 weeks.
Yeah, a couple of weeks.
A couple of weeks or so. And then we're getting the regulatory permission to launch in the Bay Area, Nevada, Arizona, and Florida, and a number of other places. So as we get the approvals and we prove out safety, then we'll be launching autonomous ride-hailing in most of the country. And I think we'll probably have autonomous ride-hailing in probably half the population of the U.S. by the end of the year. That's at least our goal, subject to regulatory approvals.
Yeah, right.
I think we'll technically be able to do it. So assuming we get regulatory approvals, it's probably addressing half the population of the U.S. by the end of the year. But we are being very cautious. We don't want to take any chances, and so we're gonna go cautiously. But the service areas and the number of vehicles in operation will increase at a hyper exponential rate.
Hyper exponential rate.
So
with safety monitor.
Some other notable things. Model Y in June became the best-selling car in Turkey, Netherlands, Switzerland, and Austria. It is, I believe, the best-selling car of any kind in the world still. Autonomy is a big factor there. So even without supervised, even with just supervised self-driving, it's a huge selling point. And it's worth noting that we do not actually yet have approval for supervised FSD in Europe. So our sales
or in the US,
we think,
will
improve significantly once we are able to give customers the same experience that they have in the US. This is, I think, a very important point to convey. And we've been working with our main country regulator, which is the Netherlands. And I think we're close to getting approval with the Netherlands. Then it's going to go to the EU. It's quite a Kafkaesque. In fact, Kafka had no idea that something like the EU could exist. Beyond Kafkaesque challenges with bureaucracy, but we will get the approvals, and I think we'll get so people in Europe will have an experience similar to that of the US. In most of Europe, this year, hopefully, at least partially, in this quarter. And then we also had some regulatory challenges in China, which we're hoping to unblock shortly, because we also cannot provide supervised FSD in China currently, but we hope to unblock that soon. That's another major. It really is the single biggest demand driver. And then within the U.S., as we get confident about safety in different
keywords,
geographic areas, we will loosen up on how much somebody has to be laser focused, to have their eyes laser focused on the road. That's been a common complaint. In fact, it does create an odd safety issue where
it's
people will
dangerous.
sometimes disengage autopilot, then do something, change the radio, or maybe look at the phone, drive with their knee, and then re-engage autopilot, which obviously is less safe than simply keeping autopilot on. So anyway, we're get that experience will improve.
Yeah, exactly. Confident
in the next several weeks. Because of our focus on Austin, with no one in the driver's seat, the production release of autopilot is actually several months behind what people experience on a robotaxi in Austin. So now we have the robotaxi in Austin launched. We'll be adding back those elements so that there will be a step change improvement in the autopilot experience for people outside of Austin.
With that court case going on in Miami.
This is really, as you can tell, this is very much sort of autonomy is the story. Like we need the physical product, without which you cannot have autonomy. But once you have a physical product, you need the autonomy is what amplifies the value to stratospheric levels.
Stratospheric levels.
We also launched the Tesla Dyna, which has been a huge
clown show.
It actually got worldwide attention, which is unusual for a Dyna. Dynas don't typically get headline news around Earth. But this is a pretty special Dyna, and if you're in the LA area, it's worth visiting. It's sort of a shiny beacon of hope in an otherwise sort of bleak urban landscape, frankly.
Shiny beacon of hope, Dyna.
So really quite a
name it
experience. Great job by the Tesla team there. On the full self-driving front, continue talking about that. We have
supervised.
We're continuing to make
safety
significant
monitors
improvements just with the software. So we're expecting to increase the parameter count. Actually, at this point,
here we go. BS coming up.
Well, we think we can probably 10x almost 10x the parameter.
Yeah, roughly.
10x.
Roughly 10x the parameter count. So,
ding ding ding. 10x.
This is actually a very tricky thing to do, because as you increase the parameter count, you get choked on memory bandwidth. But we currently think we can 10x the parameter count.
Desperation, says
from
Bendy
what people are
Bruce.
currently experiencing. That's so not just a 4x, actually 10x increase in parameter count. Yeah, so
probably wanted to say 100x.
A lot of improvement on the existing hardware to happen. Energy is growing really well.
It's not
despite headwinds from tariffs and various supply chain challenges. The Mega Pack is expanding capacity quickly, and we have upgrades to the Mega Pack that will make it even better. And we had record power
distraction. Yes, Richard.
Q2. So I think batteries are just going to be a massive thing. The scale of battery demand is, I think, not that many people appreciate just how gigantic the scale of battery demand is. The way to think about it is that
the best area.
U.S. sustained power output for the U.S. grid is around 1 terawatt. But average usage is less than half a terawatt. If you add batteries to the mix, you can run the power plants 24/7 at full capacity, thus more than doubling the energy output per year of the United States, just with batteries. But that's again. Big deal. It's a really big deal. Optimus.
Here we go. Optimus.
So we're
Teleoperated Optimus
evolving the
at the
Optimus
diner.
design and really getting Optimus to the point where it is a phenomenal design.
Phenomenal.
So we're in Optimus version 2 right now, sort of 2.5. Optimus 3 is an exquisite design, in my opinion, and will be an incredible. As I've said many times before, it predicted it will be the biggest product ever. It's a very hard problem to solve. You have to design every part of it from physics first principles. There's nothing that's off the shelf that actually works. So
Well,
you've got to
that's
design
not
every motor,
true.
gearbox,
Actuators and stuff.
power electronics, control electronics,
China makes them.
sensors.
That's the problem.
The mechanical elements. We've also got to train Optimus to use its limbs and its sensors with a neural net. But we'll be applying the same techniques that we've applied for
I'm seeing your comments,
a
chat,
car,
by the way.
which is
They're
essentially
funny.
a four-wheel
Keep it
robot.
coming.
And Optimus is a robot with arms and legs. So the same principles that apply to optimizing AI inference on the car apply to Optimus, because they're both really robots in different forms. And Tesla, it is important to note that Tesla is by far the best in the world at real-world AI. Like a
Grand claims again, as usual.
Compare, say, Tesla to Waymo. Waymo's got, the car is festooned with God knows how many sensors.
But it's autonomous.
Isn't Google good at AI? Yes, but they're not good at real-world AI. Thus far, Tesla is actually much better than Google by far, and much better than anyone at real-world AI. and by far, Tesla has the best inference efficiency. I think a key figure of merit for AI is what is the intelligence per gigabyte? And people talk about parameters, blah blah blah. But I think people should stop talking about parameters and talk about gigabytes, because with the parameters you have 4-bit parameters, 8-bit parameters, 16-bit parameters, but the actual constraints in the hardware are how many gigabytes of RAM and how many gigabytes per second can you transfer from it. Therefore, it is not a parameter constraint. It is a byte constraint. And Tesla has the highest intelligence density of any AI by far. And I have a lot of insight.
Intelligence density.
XAI is, Grok is the smartest AI overall, but it's Grok 4 is a giant beast.
It's really outdoing himself this time.
At the terabyte level. So it's kind of important to note Tesla has the best intelligence density. Intelligence density will be a very big deal in the future.
Intelligence density. Say it one more time. Again.
So with Optimus 3, which is really the right design, it's like it doesn't have, at this point, there's no significant flaws with the Optimus 3 design. But we are going to retool a bunch of things, so it's going to probably be.
He needs a retool.
Prototypes of Optimus 3 into this year.
Retool by getting rid of the Cybertruck production line. Was my prediction. So
production as fast as it's humanly possible to do so, and try to get to 1 million units a year as quickly as possible. You think we can get there in less than 5 years? That's my
I didn't say next year, at least.
That's a reasonable aspiration. Is 1 million units a year.
1 million a year in 5 years.
It seems like an achievable target.
He's never been wrong on a prediction, has he?
In conclusion, so far 2025 has been a very exciting year. A lot of major milestones. We've made clear, demonstrable progress in autonomy that a lot of naysayers said we would not achieve. But it's worth noting that we have done what we said we were going to do. Doesn't mean we're always on time. but we get it done.
Always on
And
time.
our naysayers are sitting there with egg on their face. So great progress by the Tesla team. Yeah, I do think if Tesla continues to execute well with vehicle autonomy and humanoid robot autonomy, it will be the most valuable company in the world.
Here we
It's a
go.
lot of execution between here and there. It doesn't just happen. But provided we
If only they can remain
execute very
profitable.
well, I think Tesla has a shot at being the most valuable company in the world.
Of course. Who says that?
Anyway, obviously, I'm extremely optimistic about the future of the company.
What CEO says that?
Best way to predict the future is to make it happen, and we're making it happen here with the Tesla team. So I'd just like to say thanks to all of our supporters, and I think we've got an incredibly exciting future.
Great. Thank you very much, Elon. And Vedlov has opening remarks as well.
Travis, as Elon mentioned, Q2 was an interesting quarter in a few respects. We started ramping up the production of the new Model Y at all our factories.
Isn't going great in
our
sales.
robotaxi service in Austin and delivered a car completely autonomously directly from the factory to the customer's home.
One car.
It is a seminal
highly
point
curated.
to get to this thing. I mean, it took a lot of effort, and I really want to thank everybody at Tesla to make this happen. It wasn't an easy thing to do, but we did it. It took time, but we've just begun the next phase for the company. The one big bill has a lot of changes that would affect our business in the near term.
Yes, it will.
The first among those changes is the repeal of the IRA EV credit of $7,500 by the end of this
going
quarter.
away. Tax credits going away.
Given the change, we have limited supply of vehicles in the US this quarter, as we have already within lead times to order parts to build cars. We've rolled out all our planned incentives already and will start paying them back as we start to sell them. If you're in the US and looking to buy a car, place your order now, as we may not be able to guarantee delivery for orders placed in the later part of August and beyond. The bill also made changes to certain emission standards by reducing the amount of penalty to zero. This in turn will have an impact on the new sales of regulatory credits to other OEMs, and in turn will lead to lower revenues. While we've never planned our business around such sales, it will nonetheless impact our total revenues going forward. On the automotive product portfolio, the entire lineup is updated. Globally, we're seeing an increase in the number of test drives. We started the production of the lower cost model as planned in the first half of 25.
Low cost model?
Given our focus on building and delivering as many vehicles as possible in the US before the EV credit expires, and the additional complexity of ramping a new product, the ramp will happen next quarter, slower than initially expected.
So they think they already have a low cost model.
One thing which is grossly underappreciated, and Elon talked about it, is that all our vehicles in the lineup are capable of autonomy. This is by far the biggest differentiator between us and the competition. Our vehicles top safety standard as is, but with FSD, they are and will continue to set a new standard for safety within vehicular transportation. We published our vehicle safety report earlier today, and you can see a car on FSD is 10x safer than a car not on FSD. We've started seeing an uptick in FSD adoption in North America in recent months, which is a very promising trend. And just to give you perspective, since the launch of, since we moved to version 12 of FSD, we've seen the adoption rates really increase. We've started seeing on the automotive revenue front, despite reduction in regulatory credit revenue, and the total automotive revenue increased by 19% sequentially, even though total deliveries only improved 14%. This was primarily due to an improved ASPs because of the new Model Y. This helped in improving margin sequentially as well. along with improved mix and
Operating
higher
margin is
cost,
so low,
fixed cost absorption,
4%.
despite an increase in costs from tariffs.
Apple's is over
We
30.
started seeing the impact of tariffs in our P&L. Sequentially, the cost of tariffs increased around 300 million, with approximately 2/3 of that impact in automotive and rest in energy. However, given the latency in manufacturing and sales, the full impacts will come through in the following quarters, and so costs will increase in the near term. While we are doing our best to manage these impacts, we are in an unpredictable environment on the tariff front.
It's predictably bad.
The margins
Tax
for
credits
the
going away.
energy generation and storage businesses improved sequentially, while deployment reduced, primarily due to the ramp of power deployments at higher margins. We were able to achieve our highest gross profit for the business yet.
Oh,
Note that the overall deployments will continue to vary quarter to quarter. I think Elon covered this, that industrial storage will make a difference in this drive towards AI and data center growth. The energy requirements are increasing at a rapid scale as AI applications are very energy hungry. The quickest path to scale up energy is deploying storage. This is something that our customers have started realizing, and despite this business having the largest impacts from tariffs, we're seeing customers willing to accept some of the tariff impacts. The big bill has certain adverse impacts even for the energy business, most notably on the residential storage business
big
due to
bill,
the
not
early
beautiful for
expiration
Tesla.
of consumer credits by the end of this year. The challenges of the storage business therefore remain both from the bill and from tariffs, and we're doing our best to try and manage through this, but we will see shifts in demand and profitability. The margins for our service and other businesses improves sequentially, primarily due to higher profits from supercharging and improvement in insurance and service center profitability. Operating expenses also grew sequentially as we continued our investment in AI projects, including additional expenses
Yeah,
related
Richard,
to
yep.
employee-related costs, including higher stock-based compensation and depreciation for AI compute. Our operating expenses, especially R&D
Gone up.
related spend, will
Operating
continue to
expenses have
grow.
gone up.
We believe even in the current
With
environment, it is the right strategy to keep making investments in these areas to position us for the long term. Other income grew sequentially, primarily from the mark-to-market adjustment on Bitcoin holdings, which was 284 million gain in Q2, while being 125 million loss in Q1. Just want to remind people that this would keep creating volatility based on the Bitcoin pricing.
Bitcoin.
While
Still got
operating
that.
cash flows increased sequentially, so did our CapEx, resulting in 146 million of free cash flow. We continue to make investments in various aspects of manufacturing, like the Cybertruck, semi lines, and other manufacturing spend, and the expansion of our AI initiatives. Our latest expectation for the year in terms of CapEx is in excess of 9 billion. To summarize, we have near-term challenges in our business due to the negative impacts of the bill and tariffs. However, the investments that we have made for AI,
Not going to be good.
robotics, and
Tariffs
our
and
lead
tax
in
credit.
energy sets us up for a bright future. I would like to thank the whole Tesla team, our customers, our investors, and supporters for their continued belief in us.
Great. Thank you very much, Vaibhav. So now we're going to move on to say.com questions.
Here we
The
go.
first question
Questions.
is, can you give us some insight how robo-taxis have been performing so far, and what rate you expect to expand in terms of vehicles, geofence, cities, and supervisors?
Yeah,
Geofence.
robotaxi has been doing great so far in Austin. Customers really love the experience. It's like super smooth, very safe, and like just a great experience overall. And we already did a first wave of expansion in Austin, and we'll continue to expand in Austin to probably more than 10x our current operating region.
10x.
We're also testing in a lot of other
As
cities,
Elon
as
says.
Elon mentioned. The next thing to expand would be in the San Francisco Bay Area. We are working with the government to get approval here, and in the meanwhile, launch the service with the person in the driver's seat just to expedite, and while we wait for regulatory approval. We're also testing a lot of other cities
So
in the
taxi
US,
service in San Francisco.
including Florida, Nevada, etc.
Great. Thank you very much, Ashok. The next question is, what are the key technical and regulatory hurdles still remaining for unsupervised FSD to be available for personal use?
Getting from level 2 to level 4 or 5, basically.
We're certainly getting there. I think it'll be available for unsupervised personal use by the end of this year. In certain
End of this year.
We're just being very careful about it. So.
This is not something which we want to rush.
No.
We want to make sure that everything is safe before we make it available broadly.
Yeah, we're just
Maybe
being
in 10
extremely
years.
paranoid. Yes. But I'm confident that by the end of this year,
Confident?
within, a number of cities in the US, it'll be available to end users, like
Public.
Yeah, and for
Or
what it's worth, the
invited.
same AI hardware in the Austin robotaxi vehicles has some customer vehicles, and
Right.
we did deliver a car autonomously from the factory to a customer this quarter.
yes.
And every Tesla manufactured in the US and in Europe autonomously drives itself from the end of line to the loading docks. And so it's just a software upgrade away.
Yeah, I think we'll end up delivering cars in the Greater Boston area and the Bay Area by default from the factory by the end of this year. Like a car will deliver itself to where you are, unless you say you don't want that.
It'll be super cool.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, guys.
See
The
if
next
that
question
actually
is,
happens.
what specific factory tasks is Optimus currently performing? And what is the expected timeline for scaling production to enable external sales? How does Tesla envision Optimus contributing to revenue the next 2 to 3 years?
Probably 0.
Yeah. So the Optimus 3 design, as I mentioned earlier, is I think finally the right design. There'll be further optimizations, but there are no fundamental changes that are needed for the Optimus 3 design. It has all the degrees of freedom that you really want or need. So it's we'll have prototypes of that in, I don't know, 3 months, and then start tooling up production. We'll certainly start production on that in the beginning of next year. The production ramp is difficult. It's always difficult to predict the S-curve of a production ramp when something has got when everything is new, because the rate of production will move as fast as the least lucky and least competent element of the entire supply chain, as well as in internal processes. So the more new stuff that is in a product, the slower the ramp could be because of unexpected supply chain interruptions or mistakes made internally. It's much easier to predict sort of the end of the S-curve or late in the S-curve than the beginning of the S-curve. And the beginning of the S-curve of the production ramp is in any case not really material for revenue purposes. The beginning of the S-curve, you're always negative gross margin, and you're debugging a lot of issues. So that's why I feel like fairly confident in predicting things, or at least medium confident in predicting where we are in 5 years. But it's hard to predict where we are in a year or 2 years. So that's why I think 5 years. I think we could be at the. Let me put this way: I'd be surprised if at the end of 5 years, 60 months from now, if we are not roughly making 100,000 Optimus robots a month in 60 months, I would be shocked.
He'd be shocked. Haven't heard that before.
Thank you very much.
He's going to be shocked.
Next question is, can you provide an update on the development and production timeline for Tesla's more affordable models? How will these models balance cost reduction, profitability, and what impact do you expect on demand in the current economic climate?
Is that actually going to happen?
Well, I think Vaibhav did a good job of answering this question in his opening remarks. As we said, we started production in June, and we're ramping quality builds and things around the quarter. And given that we started in North America and that our goal is to maximize production with the IRA cliff ending in Q3. We're going to keep pushing hard on our current models to avoid complexity. Then, fortunately, when that rolls away, we'll be ready with the new, more affordable models available for everyone in Q4. And
Not really
the goal
more
of both products was
affordable.
not to negatively impact revenue
Not.
or gross margin, but just to make a car that everyone loves and wants at a more affordable price.
Just updated, and then the tax credits are
Great.
going away.
Thank you, Lars.
So they're not going to be more
The
affordable.
next question is, can you talk about the benefits of Tesla investing in XAI?
This is not the forum to discuss this topic. I mean, if there is something which we need to discuss, we'll discuss it separately.
I think obviously, we're a publicly traded company. Shareholders are welcome to put forward any shareholder
Price
proposals
going
that they'd
down,
like.
Richard says.
I've recently
Look at
encouraged
that afterwards. There'll be
Um,
lots to talk about after
and
this.
have shareholders vote, and we'll act in accordance with the shareholder wishes.
Great. Thank you very much. The next question is, can you tell us a little bit more about what goes on in the Tesla design studio?
Uh,
Elon yelling a lot.
Do you want me to take that one? We kind of generally say that what happens in the studio stays in the studio, and that earnings calls are not the place to disclose new product stuff. But we're working to make sure that we have an exciting future for our Tesla and our in the product lineup.
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting things happening in the design studio. It's not like static. And really, what's going to happen over the
Why did he say that?
next
It's not
several years
static.
is a fundamental transformation of the company from a pre-autonomy world to a post-autonomy. And I'm working on a new master plan to articulate that Tesla team, and there will be some teething pains as you transition from a pre-autonomy to a post-autonomy world, but I think the future vision for Tesla is incredibly exciting.
Yeah, softball questions for
and
sure.
will profoundly change the world in a good way.
They curate them heavily, even from retail.
So you sound like sort of hype or whatever, but I think let's just say if we execute on that plan effectively, which is you have to actually do that, Tesla will be the most valuable company in the world by far.
Great, thank you. The next question is actually a duplicate on unsupervised FSD for customer vehicles, so we'll skip that. After that is, are there any news for Hardware 3 users getting retrofits or upgrades? Will they get Hardware 4 or some future version of Hardware 5?
Hardware 3's out of luck for FSD, proper FSD.
What we want to do
happens.
is we want to get unsupervised done on Hardware 4 first. Once it's done, then we will go back and look at what we need to do with the Hardware 3 cars. And like I said, the focus is first to get unsupervised out, and then we'll go back and see what more work we need to do.
Compensate people for the broken promise.
Great.
That's what they need to
Next
do. Probably will have
question
to.
is, can you give an update on Dojo, and could XAI be a customer for Dojo?
Dojo 2, we expect to have Dojo 2 operating at scale sometime next year, with scale being somewhere around 100K H100 equivalents. And then AI5, which is really a spectacular chip. I don't use those words lightly. It's spectacular chip.
Yes, you do.
The AI5 chip will be hopefully be in volume production around the end of next year. That has a lot of potential. I think thinking about Dojo 3 and the AI6 inference chip, it seems like intuitively we want to try to find convergence there, where it's basically the same chip, but is used where we use, say, 2 of them in a car or an Optimus, and maybe a larger number on a board, like kind of 512 on a board or something like that. If you want high bandwidth communication between the chips at a force serving, doing inference serving, that sort of seems like intuitively the sensible way to go.
Enjoying the chat, by the way. Keep
The
it up.
next set of questions have all actually been covered. So we'll end with how will the BBB elimination of tax credits for solar projects affect your sales pipeline for Megapack?
Yeah, our sales pipeline is quite diversified across customers and market segments. So we aren't heavily weighted in Megapack projects that are paired with solar. And as we talked about in the opening remarks, we're seeing storage quickly being recognized for its ability to unlock grid efficiency and how quickly it can be deployed to help the grid. Additionally, although the recent bill was not favorable towards solar, we believe solar projects will still get built because the energy is necessary, the projects are well developed, and they're ready for execution. And there's really no alternatives in the near term given gas turbine lead times and pricing. We also continue to see growth in the data center segment and in standalone storage projects providing capacity to the grid in several markets across the US. Overall, we're forecasting a very strong second half of the year as we increase deployments. And lastly, we continue to invest heavily in US manufacturing to mitigate policy and tariff impacts, expecting our first LFP cell manufacturing facility to be online by the end of the year and launching our third megafactory near Houston in 2026.
Great. Thank you, Mike. We will now be moving to analyst questions.
Here we go.
The first question comes from Emmanuel Rosner at Wolfe Research. Emmanuel, please feel free to unmute yourself whenever you're ready.
Stock down 2.95%.
Great. Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Thanks. So Elon, are you able to share any KPIs with us
3%.
in terms of the robo-taxi business? How many vehicles are you operating, miles driven autonomously, or the number of safety critical intervention? Just curious, how the rollout it generally is going and any sort of like targets that you could share.
Okay, good question.
More broadly.
He won't answer it honestly.
Sure.
11 cars on there.
We have, more than 7,000 miles operating in Austin area. It's, just because service is new, we have a handful of vehicles right now, but then we are trying to expand the service in terms of both the area and also the number of vehicles both in Austin and other locations. So far, there's like no notable safety critical incidents. There, sometimes we have our own restrictions as to, for example, we restrict our speed limit to 40 miles per hour roads. And if the vehicle wants to go on like higher speed roads, we can stop the vehicle, but those are a lot of convenience opposed to safety critical nature. So far the service has been really well received and we continue to expand on it.
Great.
And that's a non-answer.
Yeah. Longer term, from an economics point of view, longer term, you've previously talked about working to drive down the cost per mile on robotaxis, maybe towards 30 or 40 cents per mile over time. Now that your service is live, how should we think about the main milestones to getting there?
It's not live. It's got a safety monitor.
Yeah. Well, the Cybercab which is really optimized for autonomy. That I think has got probably sub 30 cent per mile potential over time, maybe 25. It's really like if you design a car from scratch to be a cost optimized robotic taxi like Cybercab. Like for example, we're not trying to make it corner like incredibly well like the Model 3 would,
will it recover?
Model S or even Model Y. Like it's got all of our cars that are driven by people are super fun to drive. They've got incredible acceleration, the incredible cornering capability. But we're confident that very few people in a Cybercab want to be hurtling around. We reduced the top end speed, which means we can use more efficient tires. We don't need as much acceleration. We don't need as much, big brakes to sort of. We want stopping distance, but we're not expecting it to be heavily used. It's a gentle ride. Essentially, if you design it for a gentle ride, and then you have a much more optimized design point. So that's why it seems probable that we could achieve that. especially if Optimus is, serving, cleaning up the car and doing maintenance and stuff.
Next year.
And you'd doing automatic charging. So I think it's going to, the actual cost per mile of Cybercab will be very low. The cost per mile of our existing fleet will be higher, but it's still very competitive. So,
Higher than Waymo, is that what you mean?
Just guessing. So this really, Tesla's robotaxi fleet will go from tiny to gigantic in terms of operations in a pretty short period of time.
Yeah,
my
let's
guess
see it.
is it has a material impact on our financials around the end of next year.
Next
Great.
year.
Thank you very much. The next question comes from Adam at Morgan Stanley. Adam, please unmute yourself.
Great. Hello, everybody. So Elon, as Tesla moves into this next phase of physical AI, autonomous humanoids, robotaxis, etc., world-changing, civilizational species-changing technology with dual purpose, are you comfortable moving Tesla in this direction while only having a 13% stake in the economy? In the company? Is that sustainable, or do you still insist that something needs to happen, given your current lack of control and the types of technologies you're getting into?
This is Adam Jonas.
That is a major concern for me, as I've mentioned in the past.
I think that's,
and I hope that is addressed at the upcoming shareholders meeting. It is a big deal.
He wants more pay.
I don't want to find that I've got so little control that
Stake.
I can easily be ousted by activist shareholders after having built, this army of humanoid robots. I think that, as I mentioned before, I think my control over Tesla should be enough to ensure that it goes in a good direction, but not so much control that I can't be thrown out if I go crazy.
Okay, Elon, you're not going to go crazy. We trust you.
Well,
you can stay a little crazy. A little crazy is okay. Elon,
cut down on the special K use.
We understand the board of directors
may have done that.
of a major U.S. investment bank recently toured Optimus production. I don't know if you want to confirm that or not. It's just what we've heard. That's cool. But when do you think others will be able to get a firsthand view of Optimus like that? And is the second half of this year too soon to have an AI day? Because it seems like everybody else in the world's doing it, and this talent war is getting freaking crazy. And I know you've mentioned for recruiting purposes, this is a very important thing that you've done. I think people have copied you on this, and I'm wondering if this year's too early for that. Thanks, Elon.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough thing because when we do an AI day, we find that some of our competitors have literally done a frame-by-frame examination of our slides and everything we say, and then copy us.
Enjoying the chat.
So, I'd say what's the trade-off? It does help with recruiting, but then competitors look very closely and copy us. That said, we should probably, I guess we could consider the shareholder meeting to be sort of we can maybe go into depth, some amount of depth at the annual shareholder meeting with respect to Optimus and AI and sort of our chip stuff, perhaps. Tesla's also really underrated in terms of AI chip design, as well as AI software. There's still not a chip that exists that we would prefer to put in our car. That is an AI chip that we would prefer to put in the car over our own. And even though it's been now out for several years, and we're confident that the AI5 chip will be a profound game changer.
He's always confident, isn't he?
It's so powerful that we'll have to nerf it to some degree for markets outside of the US because it blows way past the export restrictions. So unless the export restrictions change, we actually will have to nerf our AI5 chip, which is kind of weird. Hopefully we keep raising the bar on export restrictions. Otherwise, it gets a bit silly. But we'll have a bunch of Optimus robots on stage at the shareholder meeting. The
Smoke and
Optimus
mirrors
lab is
show
cool
again.
to see. It basically looks like the set of Westworld. You could robots
Not
in various
quite.
stages. Some of them are, in various stages of repair. Like, I don't know, some combination of like the Tatooine junkyard and Westworld. That's what it looks like. It's very cool. And Optimus is walking around the office here in Palo Alto. So just 24/7 is just walking around like it's normal.
Autonomously?
You saw Optimus like, the Tesla diner serving popcorn. Yeah, so
Teleoperated.
we'll go from a world where robots are rare
They're getting
to
good at
where
that, though.
they're so common that you don't even look up.
Great. Thank you so much. The next question comes from Edison at Deutsche Bank. Edison, please unmute yourself. Edison, please go ahead and unmute yourself.
The softball questions and the Adam Jonas.
Right. While Edison figures that out, we will go to the next question, which is going to come from Dan Levi at Barclays. Dan, please go ahead
One
and unmute
difficult
yourself.
question. Come on.
Great. Thank you. Elon, you talked about the opportunity to put non-Tesla owned vehicles into the robotaxi network. Can you just talk about the gating factors to enabling that and what timeline we should expect on personally owned vehicles in the robotaxi network?
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's been talked about for years. The fleet will
we haven't
wake
really
up
thought
and
quite
everything
about
will be a
that.
robotaxi.
Like we need
happened
to
to
make
that
sure
talk?
it works when the vehicles are fully under our control. It's kind of one step at a time here. We don't want to jump the gun. As I said, we're being paranoid about safety. So it's like, but I guess
Next year.
I guess like next year is. I'd say confidently next year. I'm not sure when next year, but confidently next year, people would be able to add or subtract their car to the Tesla fleet.
I mean, one thing to keep in mind is that we will have some criteria, because like even when you put your car in an Uber or Lyft fleet, they go through a whole checklist process of making sure things are working.
It's like an Airbnb or
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah, so we will do something like that.
Kind of vetting process.
Yes. Because we want, like Elon said, we want to be paranoid about security. I mean, small things like tread on the tire can have an impact on safety. So that's why we would want to do some proper validation before we let other cars come in.
Yeah. Yes, Chad.
Dan, you have a follow-up?
Next year.
Yes,
He
thank you.
said that again.
Could you just unpack the different costs associated with scaling the robotaxi business and how you think about
Expensive because of the
funding
safety
those
monitors.
costs? Are the cash flows in the auto business sufficient to fund
No.
it? And if not, what other funding sources do you think you'd use? Would you just fund it off the balance sheet?
Loans.
Well, as soon as there is a clear cash flow stream associated with any product, you can debt finance it.
Debt, yes.
And in the interim?
I mean, in the interim, we will use our balance sheet, but like once we get to a certain scale in terms of recurring revenues, like Elon said, we could get into easily a kind of transaction to try and get funding.
Get funding.
Great. Thanks so much. We will now move on to Mark.
Like I
from
didn't
Goldman
like that.
Sachs.
It's down,
Mark,
going down
please,
when they
feel
talked
free to
about
unmute
debt.
yourself.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you very much
3.4%
for taking the questions.
down
With the FSD trials that Tesla has been offering to
after hours.
consumers and the attention on self-driving more generally, are you able to comment more specifically on what you're seeing with FSD subscription trends and take rates, and help us better understand how large FSD revenue may be currently?
So we've definitely, like I mentioned it in my opening remarks, since we've launched version 12 of FSD in North America, we've definitely seen a marked improvement in the FSD adoption. And the other thing which we had also done last year is we did bring down the pricing, and we made subscription much more affordable. So we have seen, 25% increase since that time. So, which is an encouraging trend. But honestly, we've just started the story around explaining the benefits of FSD. Like I said before, we released our vehicle safety report. Even if you don't believe in this, anything else, a car on FSD being 10x safer should be a motivator. Plus, the other thing is, people don't realize even at $99 a month, it's like you're getting a personal chauffeur for almost $3.33 a day. And this is by far the biggest game changer, which I know we've been talking about it because part of it is we live and breathe it, but
yeah,
I feel like
most people still don't know.
Yeah.
The vast majority of people don't know it exists. And it's still like half of Tesla owners who could use it haven't tried it even once. They don't actually realize that. This is something we want to educate them on. So we've got to, when they come in for service, we'll reach out to them, send them like videos of how to make it work. It's such a shocking thing. They don't think a car is capable of this.
It's not selling itself.
You have to show them and get them comfortable with turning it on and off. It's so trivial, but it's like saying you've got a cat that can sing and dance, but it just looks like a normal cat. And you're like, until you see the cat sing and dance and talk, you assume it's just a cat. That's Tesla FSD.
Yes.
Our car is intelligent.
And so what we're going to do, to Elon's point, we've been giving people
they are scared to use it
to try the FSD, but we'll start giving more prompts to say, okay, this particular drive, try FSD. So that, because it's literally seeing is believing. Like Elon said, think of it like a cat. It looks like a normal cat, but this cat can sing and dance.
Yeah.
Same thing on FSD.
Intelligent.
Great, yeah. And the 25% comment was 25% increase in the penetration rate since we've seen the release of V12 and V13 in North America. Great, thank you. Mark, did you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, thanks, Travis. Tesla has historically said it would use pricing as one tool to help drive auto vehicle growth as long as free cash flow stayed positive, given the ability to monetize products like FSD. I'm curious how you're thinking about pricing from here as a potential tool to drive increased volumes, given where you stand with FSD, as well as the fact that the IRA purchase tax credits are poised to go away in the US starting in the fourth quarter. So should we expect more meaningful price reductions given that monetization potential, or do you envision price reductions being more limited compared to cost downs given where free cash flow now stands? Thanks.
They are offering deals to get rid of these things.
We're in this weird transition period where we will lose a lot of incentives in the US. We still have incentives actually in many other parts of the world, but we'll lose them in the US.
Yes.
But we'll still be at the relatively early stages of autonomy. On the other hand, autonomy is most advanced and most available from a regulatory standpoint in the US. So, does that mean we could have a few rough quarters? Yeah, we probably could have a few rough quarters.
Oh,
I'm not saying we will, but we could.
Yeah, they will.
Q4, Q1, maybe Q2. But once you get to autonomy at scale in the second half of next year, certainly by the end of next year, I think I would be surprised if Tesla's economics are not very compelling.
Great. The next question is going to come from Will from Truist. Will, please feel free to unmute yourself when you're ready.
Great. Thanks so much for taking my questions. First, I'd like to ask for a little bit more detail about the lower cost model that you talked about having, I think, started production in the first half, but you said will ramp later. At the last Analyst Day, as I recall, you talked about some aspects of this, like two-thirds or three-quarters reduction in silicon carbide and not using rare earths in the motor, and perhaps other cost downs. You also had this unboxed architecture that I think you said would not be part of this sort of interim approach. Can you update us on what we should expect this thing to actually look like?
Well, we won't get into the looks because
It looks like a Model Y. Yeah.
It's a Model Y.
Let the cat out of the bag there. Dancing cat that can sing and dance, but it can talk and sing and dance. Though that's the cool part. Yeah, I mean, the fundamentally the biggest obstacle remains that people just don't have enough. Some people don't. The desire to buy the car is very high. Just people don't have enough money in their bank account to buy it. Literally, that is the issue. Not a lack of desire, but a lack of ability. So the more affordable we can make the car, the better. I think it's going to be. It will be a very big deal when people can release their car to the fleet and have it earn money for them. Which, like I said, I feel confident in saying that'll happen next year in the US, at least. In the US, we're legally allowed, appropriate disclaimers, and that'll make the affordability dramatically greater. Just like if you have an Airbnb and you can rent out your home when you're not there, or rent out a guest room or guest house or something like that, the affordability of your home is much greater.
Okay. Trying another
nearly 4%.
topic then. We see all
like
these
this.
wonderful developments at XAI like Grok.
All the numbers.
And obviously Tesla's trying to do quite a bit in AI. Elon, how do you manage the division of efforts and recruiting and talent and capital between these two that seem like there's a very high potential that they could in fact compete?
Well, they are doing different things here. The XAI is doing terabyte scale models and multi-terabyte scale models. Tesla's 100 times smaller models. So one's real world AI and one's kind of, artificial superintelligence type of thing. Really kind of the genesis for XAI was that there were certain people who simply would not join Tesla, AI engineers, because they wanted to work on ASI. They would join Tesla. And I was like, well, maybe they'll join a new company. I think the Tesla problem is extremely important, but not everyone agrees with me on that. And so rather than have them join, OpenAI or Google or whatever, some other company, it's like, may as well have them create a company in that regard, which is XAI.
Dropped down 4.5%.
So that's, people can make a decision. Do they want to work on super intelligence at data center or real world AI? They're both compelling problems, but some people want to work on one and some want to work on the other.
XAI is burning about $1 billion a month, apparently.
Unfortunately, that is all the time we have today. Thank you everyone so much for your questions, and we will see you next quarter.
All right, so that was it. That was a quick ending, abruptly. So now we can talk about what was said. If you want to hang out, I'm just going to hang out here for a while. If people want to talk, I'm looking at you chat. I can see the chat. It was entertaining. Thanks for that. Those comments. If you want to stay here, let's chat about this. There's quite a bit to go through. I won't go through the numbers. I'm going to switch over. We'll look at the stock price. Look at this. What are we on? It's down. Well, it went down from 0.47 and now it's down 4.65%. It's down 4.65%. The market did not like that earnings call. You know, the analysts and investors listened to that and did not like what was said there. It's still going down 4.68. Will it recover before the end of the, after our session? And there's overnight now, of course. But do we want to go through the numbers? I will go through the numbers because, it's over time, but if anybody wants to chat, let's see. I'm going to respond to some of the chat. I couldn't because the talking, I just didn't want to interrupt too much. There were no real answers. All they did was deliver a word salad, said Bendy Bruce. That's right, they did. It was the usual word salad. Elon said, next year a lot, didn't he? Or in 5 years' time. Robotaxis, he was going on for years about the fleet waking up and your car will be a robotaxi. And now they're saying, well, so, we're going slowly because of safety. And they're just scaling really like Waymo did. It's no different. And, they're talking about the economics of that. And how fast are they actually going to go? It's amazing. JJ, thanks for organizing this. Well, the organizing this, I was hoping to find a rebroadcast with a chat. I think I fit in better here than the brighter than her. But yeah, there'll be a lot of, if you check on other channels, they'll be just saying not a bad word, how amazing it is. I mean, I try to be fair here. I actually used to own Tesla stock, but I don't now. I'm not short either. But I'm trying to be fair about what they're saying. Like Elon over 10 years or more has just come up with this BS. His predictions don't come true. What he says doesn't come true. So it's become laughable. The whole next year thing is laughable, right? And so that's where we're at. You just have to take everything he says with a grain of salt. Even the diner, when he first put that idea out there, was nearly 8 years ago. And this is scale. I guess the first one's more difficult, but that's a long time. And the fact that he opened it on the week of earnings that were not great coming out. I mean, look at all those negative numbers in the earnings there for a start. The operating margin is astonishing. I mean, I was talking about this before I went live, and when you say organizing this, it was like half an hour before. That's why I didn't put any, notification up. So thanks for everybody for being here. I have enjoyed this. I might do more live if people are into it. It is enjoyable just hanging out online and streaming. I mean, there's enough people on the channel to do this. If I notified people beforehand, it might be more. But I mean, I do enjoy it. I'm going off on a tangent here. What was I saying? Oh yeah, next year the Robotaxi is going to be interesting. This whole fleet waking up. Remember he said that 1 million Robotaxis on the road by 2020, and now there's 11 on the road with a safety monitor, and they're battling with Waymo to increase the geofenced area. And Elon said if you have to have a geofence, it's not a Robotaxi. I mean, I've got a clip of that. These clips are haunting him because they come up. He did say this stuff, promising stuff years ago. The robo-taxi fleet waking up. When did people start hating driving? Yeah, that's true. A lot of people still like driving. I must admit that, I was in traffic the other day coming home from somewhere, and it was annoying. I mean, people do use their phones, and so people would want that. I have nothing against. I mean, I can't take a Waymo here because we don't have them, but I can see that the safety record's excellent, and I would take one if I was going to LA or something. It was funny in that last video I did where Omar, one of the chief evangelicals, the Tesla pumpers, he was caught by somebody taking a Waymo from after going to the Tesla diner for that opening. He didn't even drive his own Tesla there to park it or charge it, which is probably understandable because probably no parking spots. But he took a Waymo away from there. Him and his girlfriend or wife or whatever took a Waymo out of there. That is a bad look for a Tesla influencer, even though it's handy. I mean, you can't take a robotaxi because there aren't any in LA. It looks like San Francisco or the Bay Area is going to be next. But they did say, I caught there, they haven't got approval in the Bay Area yet, but they're going to have a safety driver in the driver's seat first to test and everything, which is what Waymo does, but it's going to be amusing too. To say that it's autonomous when it's really not autonomous at all. And I've got video clips of people, the safety monitor having to take over, and then when he took over, this is just in that last video, I think. The safety monitor took over, and he contacted support, and said, I can't take it out of park. I can't access the settings. It was hilarious. I mean, it's understandable because it's just early days. It's just really a test. But, okay, I'll get back to the chat. I'm rambling. When should you buy Tesla? Next year. They're talking about the Tesla stock. Let's have a check of the stock. Where are we at? Is it going down, or is it actually recovering? Let's have a look. Refresh. 4.62% down. Wow. So, I mean, that's the market not liking it. Reluctant to say that this is when people start to realize, because it's going on and on for years, isn't it? But we'll have to see what happens in the future. World's biggest welfare queen. Well, that is true, but that's going away. I mean, SpaceX and Tesla got lots of government money. This feud with Trump, tax credits going away is going to be a big deal. What I wanted to say there, that's right. What I wanted to say there when they were talking about that, but I didn't want to talk over them, is that Q3, the next quarter, is probably going to be pretty good because, the tax credit going away in the US, so it's going to be good in the US, relatively good to where it is now, because people who are thinking about buying a Tesla are probably going to do that because of the tax credits going away. They're going to rush in and they're going to do promotions about that. So it probably will look better for a while, and then it will probably take a big dive. I'm just guessing about that. And they talk about the more affordable model. Like, people were waiting for this model that was like under 30K, maybe smaller, compact. Maybe it looks like the Cybercab. But they're already saying, like, we've released the affordable model, and Elon even said it's just a Model Y. But they're starting to say that is the affordable model, which is just not what even, it's not what even the evangelicals wanted. They're expecting this amazing affordable model, a new design, and really cheap, and it's going to be amazing. But really, it's not what it is. Next year. Swastikab, yes, not forgetting that. Elon's trying to. I mean, the diner, I think, is part of the whole, trying to soften the image and getting his popularity back up to politics. But it's not working with a lot of people, I think. That last video I did about the California numbers. I haven't commented on that video yet. I haven't been into the comments of that, but I'll comment here on it. Is that the California numbers, which is their core market, as I said in that video, if you thought of California as its own country, its own economy, it's the 5th biggest in the world, apparently. So, it's an important market for Tesla, and it's down. The numbers are way down. So liberals in California just not buying Teslas, or not as many as usual, even though, if you look at the diner, yes, there's people, it doesn't take much to fill up a diner. Even Elon saying it's opening on his X with 200 million followers or whatever can fill up a diner. That's probably why he didn't make a big fanfare about it, because it didn't want it to be chaos. He probably didn't want boycotting protests to show up, so he did it quickly, like it's opening today kind of thing. 4:20 today, of course, and people showed up, so there wasn't time to organize stuff like that. All right, let's have a look. Chat. Super chat. Thanks, Ben. Thanks for that. Always appreciate that. I'm not asking for money in these things. It's just fun for everybody. But thanks very much. Much appreciated. Next year, AK Infinity. Yes, Charlie. Swastikab, says Desi. Q3 will be the last Q. This is from Canterbury Genesis. Oh, sorry. I garbled that name. Okay. Q3 will be the last Q they make profit. Well, I can't predict, but possibly the profit's so thin. They may be banned from selling in California. Yes, that was in the last video. That's with the DMV case for some of Q3 though. So yes, they could be banned for a month. They could be suspended for a month. But I mean, Elon seems and his legal team seem to be able to get out of things like that. Have you been following the court case? Yes, I have. I did that video. I think it was, I forget because I'm doing them every day or 5 days a week. So I kind of forget when they were, but I think it was this one before last. I did one about the DMV case. It's really interesting because that's been going on for a long time. It's taken this long to get, to some actual consequences. But that's about autopilot being false advertising or misleading advertising for autopilot, and they could be suspended from dealership license for at least for a month or more. But can't see that happening myself. But it's still a really interesting case that is. It seems obvious to me the result where it was misleading with everything that Elon says, and I put clips in that video way back in 2016. He was saying that the autopilot drives better than a human right now. He said that, and so but is that considered misleading advertising? Is that part of their advertising? All these kind of technical details that happen in court. Almost 5% down now. Is that right? That was seconds ago. Let's have a look. Whoa, over 5% down. All the Elon Jellicles will be hating that. Why? They'll be saying, why? It was so good. It was so good. Elon did not pay for the Tesla charging stations you see in America. US taxpayers paid $8 billion for them. Is that because they got a lot of money from, was it the Biden administration to do that? I can't even remember, but yes, they do have got a lot of government help. And, a lot of people thought that Trump would even help even more, but it hasn't turned out like that. JJ Rocks, thanks. Thanks for that. How do you scale down a Model Y? It's already pretty bare bones, if you ask me, and I used to own one, says Richard. Yeah, I mean, they're pretty minimal inside, aren't they? It's amazing when I did this video that not many people saw on the Xiaomi. I mean, it's a Chinese car. I get it. A lot of American people, which is over half, the general community here, American, which is great. But people, and Chinese cars don't get sold in the US. Tariffs are hard. I mean, technically they could be, but it's just be so expensive. But BYD is, I mean, they're giving away sort of their version of FSD for a start. But Xiaomi, inside that car, I mean, it's based on a Ferrari, which, China does sort of copy IP, but it's a good looking car. Inside's really good. There's a lot of tech in there. So compared to a Tesla, which is really pared back, it is a nice car. And I mean, we get those here. If they come, I'm going to have a look at it. But I digress. Thanks for going live today as the leader of the billionaire nerd Reich blows more smoke amidst his mirrors. Yeah, smoke and mirrors. He does put on a show, and the Tesla Diner thing is a show. Let's face it. It was a show for the earnings week. Been 7 years. He must have thought, what can I do? What can I do this week to distract or to make to a bit of fanfare? And the diner was perfectly that, wasn't it? I mean, it was exciting and a show and smoke and mirrors. They had the Optimus robot there, teleoperated, doing popcorn. I saw Kim Jarvis' video of that when she flew immediately there when she heard about it to be at the opening. And, the Optimus robot she said it was slow. She tried to talk to it. It didn't talk back this time. And I think that was probably because it's pretty obvious that it's teleoperated if they talk back. So it's sort of like the fake autonomous. Who are Bendy says, who are the Tesla customer base? He has alienated all of his old customers, and Republican conservatives are not going to fill in the void. I think that's true. I mean, even the Cybertruck, you'd think the Cybertruck would be the thing that they would buy, but the sales are so bad, I think they're going to stop production. How can they keep it up? It's just got to be pouring money down a hole. And if we look, this is a good chance to look at the numbers here in relation to that, because this is interesting. I think they don't break it down. They don't break it down. If you look here, actually, is that on screen? Just let me check. Yep. Okay. So I know it's probably small, so I'll read it out. But operational summary here, and it says, Model 3, Model Y production is 3% up year on year, right? So it's the Model 3 and Model Y together, which is what they sell. That's their best models. And then we have other models production. So this includes the Cybertruck. They don't break down the Cybertruck by itself, which would be incredibly interesting if they did. But it's only, minus 45%. And yes, they're getting rid of the Model X and stuff. But I think it's about 5,000 or less than 5,000. I can't remember the exact number, but I did say it in a video the other day. I think it's for this past quarter, it's 4,000 something. So it's been going down. Look at that. And so that's not great for the Cybertruck. I think they're going to have to stop it. Actually, this is the first time I've sort of looked through this because I didn't have time. I just decided to go live and look at these numbers afterwards. But I looked at some of the financials. So let's get into it. Thanks for the stream, Tracy says. No problem. Let's get into some of the numbers because this is important. If you see other channels, I saw one. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Rob from Tesla Daily, which he doesn't do daily now. But he was like glossing it. He was saying, "Oh, it's a beat. It's a beat." But that doesn't mean a thing. Like expectations were so low, and if it beats, that doesn't say anything. And so we look at the year on year is the kind of most interesting. For Model 3, Model Y deliveries, minus 12% year on year. Other model deliveries, so if it's up from the quarter a year ago, I mean, for $1 trillion company that's not growing, I mean, of course the stock should be down because of that. I mean, I'm not giving financial advice or anything. It's nearly down 5%. Not financial advice. I can't tell what this meme stock of a stock is going to do, and but the financials just don't look great for $1 trillion company. I mean, it's objectively so. Total deliveries minus 13% year on year. Cybertruck is a massive flop, says Kevin. Yes, it is. It is a flop. It's one of the biggest flops in auto history. Did they even talk about that? Not one word about the Cybertruck, not one question about the Cybertruck. This is their curated questions, just totally swept under the carpet. Total end of quarter operating lease vehicle count 1% up. Okay, so I'm going to go up to the actual numbers summary here. I mean, they even talked about. We're going to skip that summary because it's just it's hype. Cybertruck going the way of the DeLorean. Well, that wouldn't be so bad, would it? Like, I mean, yes, probably, but does that mean in 20 years' time it will be sort of in a future movie and become a cult thing? Maybe so. If somebody had a Cybertruck and kept it for long enough, maybe it would turn into a cult thing. Remember the Cybertruck? I don't know, but that was the fact that happened to the DeLorean because of the Back to the Future movies was, a Hollywood thing. All right, so let's go through the numbers. Here we go. So I want to be fair about this. I'm not being a hater here. I'm going through the actual numbers here. I am an investor, so I look at this kind of stuff quite a lot. And I just heard the Tesla pumpers just saying how just spinning this is good, but it's not good. It's not good, and the market thinks so too. The actual market obviously doesn't think so. So total automotive revenues down 16% year on year. Yes, it's up from Q1. Remember Q1. So this is when Elon was in Doge, and it was at the full height of his unpopularity. They were changing over to the new Model Y refresh, so we could expect it to be better. But it's from a year ago. It's down 16%. I mean, and the pumpers will say, well, it's all about robotaxis now, but there's 11 robotaxis with a safety monitor, and it's a token payment. Come on. Every energy generation and storage revenue minus 7%. So this has been good. But now it's marginally up on last quarter, and a year ago it's down. So that's not even, Elon said it'll be bigger than cars eventually, and maybe that's because cars will go down and energy will keep going up a little bit. But I've always thought that this is the biggest, this is the most promising segment. To be fair, what they were saying about the demand for energy storage is true. I think it's true. I mean, renewable energy and storage, I think it's got huge potential to not waste electricity, to be able to store it and produce it, even if it's not renewable energy, which it should be. It's still a good thing, right? So the fact that that's not going so well either is kind of astonishing. There are not a lot of bright points here. Service and other revenue. So this is where actually auto companies do make a lot of money for, service and maintenance. When you service your own car, you always pay a lot, right? It's like, whoa, that is expensive. Where did that come from? And so this but service for Tesla, there's a lot of complaints about service. So Jim says, you are right. I love Rob M, but this is not the Tesla Elon plan 6 years ago. No, it is not. I mean, he put some spin on it. He's out of all those people, I think he's kind of the most fairest. But I thought what he was saying there was kind of. I mean, I only heard like a minute of it, and I was like, that's enough for me. But and he was at the event, with the Robotaxi event. He was the one where he was in the car, he's videoing, and it tried to swerve left and then kept going, and it was in the wrong lane. So that was one of the major errors, like on the first day was his, and he didn't say anything about it when it happened. All right, so where are we up to? So we're up to services, so that's up 17%. So that is a bright spot. As I said, auto companies make money. They do make money from services more than the cars because margins are so low, and we will get to the margins because they're horrific, really. I mean, it's not unexpected for an auto company, but they're not an auto company, right? They're a tech company. And let's compare it to one of the best tech companies out there that's done so well. Let's compare it to Apple. I'm not going to do it directly, but I did look up their operating margin. I know what it is. This is why Apple, I think, did not go into the EV business. They had a look at it. They did a lot of research. I think they burnt, I don't know what, $1 billion on it, which is fine for Apple to do that. And I think they discovered, well, these margins are going to be crap, so we're not going to do this, even if we can make a good car. And Xiaomi is making a good car, so device makers can make good cars. Although, as people have pointed out with Xiaomi, let's wait a few years and see how those cars, if they rust or how they go. But so total revenues minus 12%. Bang. So 20 from a year ago, which was 25, and now it's 22. It's up on the quarter. Gross profit. Now, they said this was the best profit, minus 15%. They said this was the best in history, but we'll have a look down here. Total gap gross margin 17.2%, which is up a little bit, but minus 71 basis points. Hate the basis points so that's from 18 to 17.2. Why don't they just say 0.8% or 0.71%? So margins going down, but this is like, if you're an investor, really, like, the crux of it, you can the gross profit margin is fine, but it's not the actual margin. Operating margin is what you really want to look at. And you'll find that good companies, as as Warren Buffett says, wonderful companies, you'll find have a great operating profit, or stable and consistent and ongoing. And here we have the operating margin is 4.1%, which is low. It's a low profit business, right? When they're not selling food, they're not a supermarket, but they are selling cars. But they're a tech company. Where are the tech company margins, right? Which is what a lot of these bulls think. And we have operating margin is down from 6.3% a year ago to 4.1. So down, down, down. 10.8 was a bright spot for Q2. Okay, so you'd get excited about that going up. Perhaps we can have the operating margin going up. But 4.1% is a low margin. It's a low margin business. This is a $1 trillion company. If you were Apple, as I said, if you look at the Apple operating margin, it's over 30%, and they make hardware, they make software, That's difficult, right? And they look at the company, they look at what they're making. Can we make a good profit margin on this? And they actually probably decided they can't with EVs, with making EVs and Apple EV, even if it was a premium price. Could they sell enough of them? Could they have a great profit margin? No. And they would not want a 4% margin. And so that's the base of it. The other thing that caught my eye here is, where are we? Net cash provided by operating activities down 30%. So this is important. And capital expenditure went up 5% on the year. So your margin's going down. Your cash provided from operating activities going down a lot. Your expenditure going up, and free cash flow, which is what investors love to see, healthy free cash flow. And look at this, 89% down from a year ago. Ouch. That is concerning, and I think that is one of the things that why the stock is down, because investors do not like to see this. And you'll find that these Tesla pumpers, the channels will be skipping over these bad numbers. Like, oh, I've heard that guy, Steve Mark Ryan, he's like, oh, it doesn't even matter. Oh, who cares about even revenue? Or who cares about free cash flow? Like, forget about it. It's all about the future, bro. It's all about robo taxis. It's going to make trillions. Farzad said it's going to make trillions. I saw the video saying that over time. Excuse me. And so free cash flow down 89% is a worrying sign. But next quarter, it's probably going to be a good quarter, because people who are going to buy a Tesla are probably going to do it then, because of this tax credit going away in the US anyway. As Elon said, there are the rest of the world. So I've been not looking at the chat because I've been looking at these numbers. Sorry, let's have a quick look. Oops, they're going broke. Well, I can't say that, but cash and cash equivalents. All right. So having said that, so cash and cash equivalents and investments. So this is what they have. So that's 36.7 billion, right? So you can't go broke if you've got a lot of cash. If you don't have much debt, and you've got a lot of, they don't have debt in there, but I don't think they have a lot of debt. They talked about increasing debt in that core over time if they need to, but they do. But people have questioned this about their cash, about what they actually have. But 36 billion is a lot of cash. So, but things can go downhill quickly. They can in companies. That's why in tough times, when a recession comes along, if you've got a company with a lot of cash, like Apple has a lot of cash, if you have a lot of cash, or it has, it was criticized for not using cash. Warren Buffett's company, Berkshire Hathaway, has a huge amount of cash, and it's building up. They've been building their stockpile. I think it's got to 350 billion in cash, and it's because Buffett waits until things go bad, until the market gets distressed, companies get distressed, and that's when he buys. And so when a really bad economic situation comes along, companies can get distressed, but if you've got a lot of cash, you can get through it. And so people get criticized for having too much, and then they need it. And if they don't have it, someone like Warren Buffett comes along and says, "Oh well, that's actually a good company. They're just a bit stressed. They haven't been looking after their finances properly. We'll buy that one," and then they know how to fix it up. And then 10 years later, they're making a lot of money from it. That's how Warren Buffett's become one of the richest people in the world. The 1,236 lawsuit settlements. 1,436 lawsuit settlements. Wait till those ZEV credits go away. That's a direct hit on their battleship. It is, I think so. And they've said that. They admitted that it's not going to be great. But Q3 should be okay, because people, as I said, people will want that tax credit. And I believe it's going to be available for a while. Tesla is very well positioned. I was surprised at the progress. Okay, Robert, tell us how. Please tell us how you think that is the case, because I'm looking at these numbers. Progress in robotaxis I mean, I'm looking at the actual numbers and they're not great. I mean, however you spin this, and the market agrees, right? So let's see. We've got this is interesting. Oh, look, Cybertruck. So they've put current installed annual vehicle capacity Cybertruck. So that is 125,000, and they're selling like less than 5,000 a quarter. And Elon was saying that they wanted to make 250,000 of these. So I think they've taken that figure down. I'm pretty sure that they did have 250 there. And so there's no way they're going to sell that many. How are they going to sell that many Cybertrucks if they're selling only like 4,000 to 5,000 a quarter? I think it's going to go away because it's not popular. I mean, for Elon to save face, he probably won't try not to say anything about it and just stop making them or something like that. I don't know. But because that was his baby, it was one of his worst ideas ever, or badly, as people said, as I saw a comment in that video about that. People said it wasn't necessarily a bad idea, just bad execution, bad design. It could have been good. The truck, obviously, they could have had a very popular truck if it had been different. If it had been not what it is. Let's have a look. I haven't seen this, so this is the first time I'm looking at this. Artificial intelligence, software and hardware. I'm actually liking going through this after the earnings call because of what we can react to what Elon said about this. Vehicle and other software, yes, talked about that, blah, blah, blah. Energy storage, energy and services and other gross profit. And other gross profit, so that's going up. But we've seen the actual numbers. Services and other, yes, services is going up. And as I said, that's where auto companies do make quite a bit of their money, not on the selling the cars themselves because there's such a low profit on extras like that. And cheeseburgers, cheeseburgers at the fill-up station. Is that where they're going to make the money, like McDonald's? I was saying in that video that McDonald's is worth what, like I think it's $113 billion in market cap. So this is a company. This is the biggest fast food chain in the world, or I guess it is one of the biggest, if not the biggest. And so it's hardly any place you can go in the world, or the Western world anyway, that you don't see McDonald's. So even if they got to that scale with these diners, it would only be 10% of the current market cap. So it's not going to make a dent even if they did that, and they're not going to do that. But I do think it's a good idea for like a truck stop situation. People are going to charge and they're going to get burgers and stuff. I mean, it's kind of cool. I like the retro diner, but it's not going to move the needle. It might help their popularity, though. Okay, we've seen all that. So let's look at some of these photos. What have they got? What have they got to spin us on this quarter? Okay, chat. Let's have a look. Robert, talk to your financial advisor. I mean, I'm not bashing Robert here, but I just don't see what you're seeing. Okay. Surely anyone can compete in the energy space, not rocket science. Well, yeah, it's not. They do have the branding, but I could see that they could have competition. They should have competition at that grid level storage for sure, and also home level storage, which is in this diagram. We'll have a look at this. Cybertruck sales are starting to move. I was at the Tesla service center. Rep said they are selling now. Robert said, I just don't think so, Robert. I'm sorry. The numbers are going down and people just aren't buying them. I mean, there's a core audience that is a core buyers, but to get from 5,000 a quarter to what Elon wants, it's just not. It's a flop. It's a flop, and they've had so many production problems with it, like panels coming off and just bad execution. And there's competition. Like the truck sector is a big sector. It is here where I live in New Zealand. We've got a lot of farms, and and tradies have pride themselves on their double cab utes, we call them here. And electric one's a hard sell, I have to say, but I think, we get a lot here. We've got the hybrid BYD as well. Is it the Shark? I'm sure you make a killing by buying dips by next year. Okay. A muskrat has entered the chat. Okay, that's Robert. Try not to rip Robert to shreds too much. It's brave of him to come into this kind of environment. Don't focus on the numbers. Focus on the robot that serves you popcorn. Yes, that's the distraction this week. It really is a distraction. Look over here, and if you look at the Trump administration about the Epstein files, which I've been did a video about on my politics channel, the Art of Value Politics, and the distraction, flooding the zone with distractions about not being in the Epstein files. Look over here. Look at this. Trying absolutely everything. This is kind of what this is with the diner. I mean, it has been in the works, and it probably was getting ready. But Elon sort of, what can I distract with leading up to these earnings? Let's push for the diner to be ready. Let's just open it on the week of earnings, right? It's so transparent like that. From 10 to 20, that's 100% growth, bro. No way. Okay. They are well positioned for a big fall. Well, the stock has been defying gravity, hasn't it? $1 trillion market value. Well, I'm looking at those financials and I don't see $1 trillion there, but it's not financial advice at all. Okay. So let's look at this. The Tesla ecosystem speaking of that, like the Ford PE, I think last time I looked at it, it was well over 100. Was it 200? I'm just going to check that. I mean, people say that PE doesn't matter, but it's not just that. PE 188. I mean, come on, it's high. But Palantir is higher. Trucking. So they've got trucking. Okay, let's look at this. Let's break down what they're saying here. The Tesla ecosystem. People are still here. I'm glad that people are still here. It's good to talk about it afterwards, but I'm hanging out here for a while yet. We're coming up on 1 hour 40. Trucking, yes, the semi factory is going ahead in Nevada. I want to be fair about this, but it's been a long time, and I'm sure they've had problems with that have people forget about it, but that's still in the works. The bots, billions of bots. Did he say 1 million by end of next year? I think. Didn't he say 1 million? We'll see if that happens. I really can't see that going into mass production with 1 million, and they'll be using them in their own factory, then trying to sell them to customers. But it remains to be seen. But that's why that is why the market value's at $1 trillion, because of the hopium about the robot, about robo taxis, but the reality of it is pretty small at the moment. And we're judging Elon on the Elon of 10 years ago. A lot of stuff hasn't gone right. His predictions haven't come true, and he has flaws. Politics showed that he was not really the genius that he's been made out to be. Manufacturing. He's the best manufacturer on earth. He said that himself, right? So, and AI compute, yes. So, as I said, XAI is burning $1 billion a month or something like that. And at the moment, it's easy to get that money. That's the easiest sector to get money in, to borrow money, to get to get investors involved. Definitely, because there's what could be a bubble come on .com bubble 2.0. I did a video about that on the finance channel. So I've got this main channel, I've got the politics channel, and I've got the finance channel. The markets called markets channel, the Out of Value Markets, where I'm going to talk more about other companies, other stocks, and the stock market. And it's certainly getting interesting. And there was one there about the last one I did, the first one on the markets channel for quite a few months, was about are we heading into .com bubble 2, but based on AI. And it's spooky how close the Nasdaq is tracking to the .com bubble, but it's only the equivalent of 1997 was what that video is about. I found it really interesting, that chart. All right, so we've got AI compute, we've got industrial batteries, that's storage, yes, grid scale storage, and I think that has, if not the most potential, a lot of potential. And solar, which has been a disaster. Tesla solar has been a disaster. When was the last time that they even talked about it? When was the last time they talked about Tesla solar? They were going to have this manufacturing factory, I think in New York. He had the demo of the roof, the solar shingles, which weren't hooked up apparently at the time. That was a smoke and mirror show too, and that's been a disaster. Home charging, so storage and home charging. Yeah, I mean it's definitely got potential, and home batteries I think makes a lot of sense. I'd like that myself. Haven't got it yet, but we have a new house and it's all wired up for that, and to have solar on the roof. I made sure the wiring was all in there for that when we did that, which is a couple of years old now, the house, but that's phase 2, putting the stuff in. But will I be getting Tesla stuff? No, I will not. Electric vehicles, of course. Robovan, remember that? Not the Robovan, it's the Robovan, which I think that will never be made, be my prediction. What are we talking about in the chat? Only good thing about AI hype is it seems to have displaced blockchain hype. Yeah, that's true. Everything is now AI instead of blockchain and NFTs. Remember that? Tesla car have one commercially available working robot. Do they have? Yes. No, not commercial, just a test, and it's teleoperated. Musk horrible Asperger voice. Do people understand that nonsense? He says. Well, Asperger's, autism. That's like autism or Asperger's is blamed a lot, and I don't think he blamed a lot when he was being a total jerk. And I mean, I know people who are autistic that are really nice people, so I would communication maybe, and Peter Thiel's like that too, but I couldn't blame it for from other things. I mean, probably. A lot of these Silicon Valley people are on the spectrum for sure, and it helps in tech, I think, in many ways. And for focus, 5 years to 2 million bots a year is what. Yeah, I'll see. We'll see if that happens. So this is the whole. Looking at this diagram, that's the whole Tesla network, and a lot of that in robotaxis as well. So if this all worked together, yeah, great. But they're having trouble. It has to be said. A lot of these is smoke and mirrors and hype at the moment. And here we have the robotaxi with the safety monitor. No, FSD supervised testing Paris, London, Sydney, and Rome. I saw one in Sydney. I was going to do a video about it, but I didn't. I was in Sydney recently, and I took some Ubers there. I was in a Polestar. Polestar took an Uber that was a Polestar. It was nice. It was a nice car. I was impressed with it. And he was getting, after 200,000 kilometers, not sure what that is in miles, maybe 150, something like that. He was getting really good charge on that battery still. So that was interesting to see. And this is the autonomous delivery of the Tesla. And you see the engineering team that came out with the customer, like this was highly curated. You could tell that they're all nervous it was going to work. I don't think they did a video on it. If it hadn't worked, they probably wouldn't have done that. I wonder if they'd tried it before. They said in their earnings call there were a lot of focus on that, and they were really proud of it. But they've done one autonomous delivery like this, and they've been accused, and it was of a marketing video way back in 2017 where they just edited the whole thing together. So who really knows? And interesting that they've got this photo here and they're parking in the no parking lane here. So that was another smoke and mirrors show. If it was autonomous, I mean, I just think that was highly curated, highly managed, of course. And here we have some first responder event at the Tesla diner. So that's some good PR for them. And there's the diner. I mean, I like it. I like the look of it, a retro diner, and it's nice. And I wouldn't, if you were driving a Tesla and you were driving on a road trip, stopping at one of those things would be kind of fun. I mean, I have to say that, but it is kind of distraction and 7 years in the making, and how many of them are going to be. So it is a bit of PR. And there we have it, that first week. There's a lot of pictures in here of the diner. You notice that it just opened this week. So that was a kind of rush job to get that ready by this earnings. So we're coming up on 2 hours, so I don't know how much longer I'm going to go. We're nearly through this anyway. And there they are. There's the, roller skate. So it is retro. I mean, it's fun. It's a fun concept. But as I said, Planet Hollywood was around when I was living in Sydney. There was a Planet Hollywood there. So they did go from various things. Was it Arnie who was in that? I think there were a bunch of celebrities who were involved in Planet Hollywood. It was a thing, and then it went bankrupt. And so it won't. I don't think it'll be a money maker, but it is more of a PR thing, really, isn't it? And it is working. Let's face that. So far, it's working. Will there be protests at these diners? It could be a point of protest if that happens. But say the Tesla takedown protest, but those seem to have gone away for now because that was all about Elon's politics, really, and he's stepped back a little from that. And this is the world's largest supercharger site in Lost Hills, California. 168 stalls powered by solar and Megapack. Well, that's good. See, this is actual electric charging at scale with solar power, not attached to the grid where you've got a coal plant attached to it or whatever, which I'm sure is the case in many places still. But this is what it should, with electric vehicles, should be like. So that's nothing to complain about there, really. There's a lot of slots. It's empty, so I'm guessing that is not in commission. Gigafactory Berlin. Wow, sales in Europe are terrible. Absolutely terrible. And, that is because of Elon's politics. No doubt. Some people deny this. There's definitely competition in Europe. Germany makes cars. I was actually surprised that they actually did the factory there in the first place. But not going well. Sales, the whole salute, I mean, it wasn't. People say, oh, he's not a fascist because he it was like an accident, again, blaming that on autism or whatever. But he backed it up by supporting the AfD party in Germany, a far-right party. If you look at some of the media around some of the members in that party, they've had, court cases about things that they've said, neo-Nazi things. And so it's not surprising that they're not popular in Europe. Just looking at the chat. I wonder how many of those young waitresses Elon's offered to buy a horse for. Yes, we know what that's about. Shouldn't they be on hoverboards? Yeah. So there was in that movie. Kind of looks like that. The diner kind of looks like that. A set from Back to the Future, doesn't it? In a way. FSD is ready when independent testing can be conducted, says Bendy Bruce. Yep. Yes, that is true. They're not releasing the data. They don't release the data. And here, key metrics, we have operating cash flow. Look how low that is. Free cash flow, so low. Financial statements. Okay, we've seen the summary. All right. Okay, I think we're going to leave it there, people. Coming up to 2 hours. And I think let's just have a check on the stock price. Let's see what's going on. Down 4.29%. That's funny. Wouldn't it be funny if it was down 4.2%, 420, close to that. So that's amusing. Almost like the market did that on purpose. Little market joke for the market. But that's significantly down. And so I'm going to catch up on some of the commentary about this from what people have said. The market did not like it. It has been going nowhere. So year to date, let's check that. So 12.32% down year to date. Now it's had a bump. since March of up to 47% up, but still down. Over the year, still up 34.98%, which people will hang on to. What interests me about this is that, so people who'd bought like in 2019 have done incredibly well out of the stock, out of this massive stock pump that's been going on for absolutely years, but coming up to 5 years now. Look at this. The 5-year chart is at 238%, which is still good. But when we get to the end of 2020 or the end of this year, and it'll be, the end of 2020, say we get to December and we go back 5 years, if the stock stays around where it is or even goes down, it'll only be around 40% for 5 years, which is not beating the S&P 500, depending on what the S&P 500 does, of course, if there's a crash or something. But that is not good performance over the last 5 years, really. If we just forward a few months, it's a big if, because it's still 252% over 5 years. But in terms of the net price gain over 5 years, if this kind of up and down, not really going anywhere, goes on for a few more months, we're looking at not a great gain over 5 years. So Desi, thanks everybody for being here. I appreciate that. I had no notice. I just decided to do it, and I might do more. I kind of like hanging out, streaming. I see streamers who hang out all day. I'm not going to do that, but I kind of enjoy this, and there was a reason to do it today. If I can think of other reasons to do it, and if people want to do it, because it's fun hanging out with the community. So thanks very much, everybody, and I really appreciate it. And I'll see you in my videos and live if I do it again. I really would like to do this again. On my other channels, on like the politics and the markets channel, this is not enough subscribers yet, but to get a 100 or so people here, it's kind of fun. Thanks for all your comments. I appreciate it. Thanks for the super thanks. Appreciate that too. And I will see you in the comments and see you in the next video. Thanks. And I will see you again.